More than a dozen Marines were arrested at Camp Pendleton today, accused of a number of crimes, including human smuggling and drug offenses.
News 8's Richard Allen is live downtown with new details on the arrest and the issues that led up to today's arrests. Richard?
And Carlo and Marcella, today's arrests were spurred by the arrest earlier this month of two other Camp Pendleton Marines in the same battalion on human smuggling charges. Now, those two Marines appeared here in federal court last week pleading not guilty. Now, today's arrests, made in front of hundreds of other Marines, were intended to send a clear message.
Basically, it's a shock to the system.
Thursday morning's arrests of 16 Camp Pendleton Marines, which took place during a battalion-wide formation, were based on suspicion of crimes ranging from human smuggling to drug offenses. 8 other Marines were also questioned in their alleged involvement in unrelated drug crimes.
If they are in fact found guilty of those crimes, then they'll be held appropriately accountable for that.
These latest arrests come just weeks after 2 other Camp Pendleton Marines in the same battalion, Lance Corporals Byron Law and David Salazar Quintero, were arrested for allegedly transporting 3 undocumented immigrants near Tecate. According to federal court documents, the migrants sitting in the back seat of a black BMW told authorities they were going to pay $8,000 to be smuggled to New Jersey and Los Angeles. Law said in the court documents he expected to make $1,000 for picking up an illegal alien, while Salazar admitted he had made several other pickups of undocumented immigrants in the past. The NCIS investigation into this alleged operation, now being tried through the federal court system, led to Thursday's arrests.
The release of this information was really so we could be completely transparent about what happened today. It was a very large arrest.
Camp Pendleton leadership is also actively talking with other Marines about these arrests.
Having an open conversation about what has occurred and why it's important to emphasize professionalism and accountability among our Marines so we maintain the standard that is expected of us.
Now, those 2 Marines who were originally arrested, Byron Law and David Salazar Quintero, they are due back here in federal court on August 5th. As for the Marines arrested today, it will be up to NCIS to determine whether or not they are tried through the military court system or the civil system. Also, authorities did say today that more arrests are expected. Carlo and Marcella?
All right, Richard, thanks.